I'm surviving alone for 72 hours in Hawaii, and this is my one precious tool.
If you're like most people, you think a successful survival mission means hunting, and that foraging is just a nice to have.
Now this seems like an obvious choice, but is it? Let me know in the comments right now which you think is better, foraging or hunting. And I'm gonna test this debate for myself so you can see the real answer. And just so you know, there is so much more to this answer than simple wilderness survival. In case you missed it, I'm Sarah. I'm a speaker and survivalist. You may have seen me on Naked and Afraid twice. I gotta be honest with you, this debate is actually a bunch of bull, because for our primitive, actual surviving ancestors, there was zero debate. If you didn't yet, let me know in the comments which you think is bringing in more calories, hunting or foraging. All right, now let's look at the benefits of each practice by looking at my own hunting and foraging here during my 72-hour solo survival challenge.
With hunting, you're obviously getting a lot more calories per item acquired. You hear a lot about protein, but one thing people forget to mention is that fat is one of the most important things to have in a survival situation. Now, on this trip, I made a snare, I set out multiple fishing lines, and I even did some hand hunting, which is how I got that eel you saw. And if you want to see how I caught that eel with my bare hands, you have to watch the video linked here. Another great benefit of hunting is that it really helps you get the lay of the land. By following animal tracks, you're more likely to find fresh water sources, you can see what animals are eating, which could lead to things to forage, and it really just helps you connect with the pulse of the environment. And here's a random duck I found.
The likelihood of me getting that is like zero, especially in this weather.
Foraging, on the other hand, is pretty much always going to be less caloric gain per item acquired, but it's much easier to acquire each item. I mean, look at the plant I'm getting here. It grows all over these rocks. It has tons of vitamins and it has vital nutrients that I would never get from protein or fat. Just as much as you need fat and protein for your brain, you need things like vitamin K, vitamin C, vitamin E, potassium to keep your muscles working. And as a fun bonus, whenever I'm foraging, I feel like an adorable antelope. The other thing to keep in mind is you can forage protein and fat. This is opihi. I think they're called limpets in English, but little small wins like this are all over the place, and you can miss them if you're really caught up in the big score of big game.
And then, see all that brown stuff? That's actually its poop, but these guys eat seaweed, so their poop tastes really good. Here we go. It's honestly delicious. I literally only need my hands and eyes for this, ideally something to carry this in. Not to mention, when you eat a lot of meat, you can end up in really bad survival situations. Survival experts also call it being super constipated. It's actually something that I experienced on my second Naked and Afraid challenge in South Africa. And let me tell you, you do not want to deal with that when you're out there. And you know what, actually, never mind, let's get back to the debate. Okay, the sun is up more than I would like for fishing, but we're gonna give it a shot anyway. The only luck I'm having with food here is the seaweed. I'm not like a great fisher, but I'm not that bad, so it's more about the conditions, you know?
Here's the thing with hunting. It is so dependent on the time of day, the weather, the time of year, the supplies you're with, whether you have active or passive energy, what gear is working or not working, and at the end of the day, no matter what gear you have, it takes a lot of time and energy to hunt. When I did Naked and Afraid in South Africa, I had 10 hours of daylight a day. About half of that is spent drinking water and gathering firewood, maintaining the shelter, and the other half was spent sitting in my blind waiting for animals every single day. And if you saw my bare-handed eel hunting video, you know that the weather on this trip ruined all my fishing plans. In fact, the only reason I got what you see now is because I was foraging, and I got really, really lucky. Okay, it wasn't all luck, it was some epic hand hunting as well. And if you haven't seen that video yet, you need to. The link for it is right here. This is what the thumbnail looks like. It was seriously insanely epic and had such a beautiful, crazy, you just have to see it. Go watch it after this. Listen, I'll be the first person to tell you I am not the best hunter in the world, but I am good enough to catch an eel with my bare hands, and I've been doing this stuff long enough to meet some incredible primitive hunters. But the truth is that even some of the best primitive hunters have less than a 30% chance success rate, and they spend all day hunting. That number is obviously a lot higher if you're using a rifle, but a rifle isn't part of primitive survival. Bow hunting is, snares are, fishing is. But I obviously can't give you one answer for everybody because it depends so much on your environment and your skill set. But with that said,
here's a more important question. Why are we so obsessed with big protein scores to the point that we think it is the way to survive? Okay, so here's the truth. It has a lot to do with TV and most of all, capitalism. We're taught, especially in the United States, to go big or go home. But whether you're surviving the wild or everyday bullshit, nature and data don't lie. Getting small wins are what keep us going. And if you really want to succeed, focus on the small wins for sustainability and then use that energy to play for the big wins. To see that in action and how these tiny wins turned into me hand catching this eel, watch this video here. Needless to say, the best option is of course to have both. What big wins are you chasing to the point that you are neglecting the small wins that sustain you? What small things are you undervaluing that actually would be really good for you and help you get after your goals? All right, have a good one.